When you stand praying, all you gotta do is just believe, and you shall have whatsoever you pray. Just believe.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry, so we had some technical difficulties, but the devil is a liar. We're going to get this party started because it is going to happen on tonight. Amen. Hey, Tasha. Welcome to the Just Breathe podcast.
Hello, Rosalind. Thank you for having me on your Just Breathe podcast. I've been waiting for my invitation.
Please forgive me because I kept looking. I was like, hold on. I don't think I ever invited Tasha on to my podcast, but we're here now. So just know that you always have an open invitation. How about that?
Thank you very much. I am so happy to be here. Whatever you need.
All right. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Tasha, and we'll dive right into our questions for this evening. So Tasha, now in her 20th year as founder and CEO of Burks and Associates, is a nationally respected recruiter, career strategist, and speaker focused on realities of today's workforce. Since founding her firm in 2006, she has helped place hundreds of professionals into engineering, supply chain, and manufacturing roles, partnering with organizations where leadership, execution, and retention truly matter. Known for her candid, straight shooting style, Tasha brings real world insight to the stage, drawn from 2 decades inside hiring rooms, career pivots, and leadership decisions. She has designed and led professional development programs for collegiate talent entering the workforce, worked with major employers to strengthen early career pipelines, and spoken to business groups, universities, and professional organizations across the country. She is a longtime advocate for women in traditionally male dominated industries. Tasha challenges outdated hiring practices while equipping leaders and professionals with practical strategies they can apply immediately. Her talks are honest, actionable, and rooted in experience. And I can attest to that. Amen.
It's funny. Anytime somebody reads a bio, I'm like, I did that. Like it's like I don't know if I suffer from imposter syndrome or what, but I'm like that was me. I did that. Moi.
Yes, ma'am, that is you. So I read this earlier. So when I got to her talks are honest, actionable, and rooted in experience. Oh yes.
That's a pet peeve of mine. Like I don't care if I go to a workshop, a summit, I don't care. It really bothers me when people sit in a stage in a workshop and they tell you the highest level. Like literally, I want to know, what do I say here? Where do I go there? Like I want the 1, 2, 3 answers, and so when I am delivering information, I try to give it to someone the way that I would want to receive it.
Yes. And I love that. I love that about you. So don't ever stop doing that. Don't ever let anyone take that away from you, because that right there is authentic and it's true. Like I said, I can definitely attest to it.
Well, thank you.
Yes. So tonight we're going to be talking about from positions to purpose, building careers that fit in today's talent pool. So my first question to you, Tasha, is you've been in recruiting for nearly 2 decades. What's something you know now about careers that you didn't understand early on?
First of all, I'm mad that you said 2 decades. Like you over here trying to age me. Okay. Trying to age me. Something that I didn't know about careers that I know now, or that I didn't understand early on. That's what you said.
Yes.
I think early on, I didn't realize that you had to honestly be intentional, right?
Mhm.
My mother worked retail and my dad was in the military. So he always knew what his career path was. And my mom was just, this was her job. So going to college and then coming out of college and looking for jobs and things like that, I never realized that it was my responsibility or someone else's responsibility to find the next position. It was almost like I expected or thought, that you would be handed this opportunity.
Mhm.
Hey, you're great. You're going to be promoted. Here's the next role. Hey, you're even more awesome. Let's So I think that that's something that I didn't know about careers, is that you had to be intentional. Like you have to decide where you want to be, who you want to be, what kind of work you want to do, where you want to work, what state do you like. You really have to set your sights on being intentional. In addition to that, I think that something that I didn't know way back then was connections, priceless.
Yes.
Connections are priceless, and it's just as important to do the work as it is to build a village, um, build professional connections, right? Build professional networks. You have to look up from your desk and go to lunch. You have to attend conferences. You have to show up where other people are doing things that you want to be a part of. So those are the things that I didn't know. I know it's a pretty long answer.
Yes, and that's so I'm glad that you mentioned that because that's one of the things that I try my best. I'm not intimidated by titles, and I think it's very important to cultivate relationships, especially being in the industry that we work in, to
Yeah.
be able to, build those relationships and have those conversations. So I think that's very important. Like you said, you have to get outside of the box, step outside of yourself and be intentional when it comes to building any type of relationship.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think if you don't know where to start, I always tell people to start with associations, right? So for you, it would be SHRM, right? It would be SHRM. It would be somewhere where there are like-minded HR individuals. Um, because if you can't find anything else to talk about, you can always talk about your experience, right?
Yes.
And there's nothing like swapping stories about your HR time, their HR. So you have to build connections and be intentional with them.
Yes. What's the biggest myth people believe about getting the right job?
The biggest myth about getting the right job, that you'll be happy once you get it.
Yes.
Like seriously, that's honestly a myth. Like all of a sudden it's like, oh, I got the right job and I'm gonna be happy. Oh, I'm gonna do this. That's the biggest myth. The second biggest myth will be that people think that experience will get you the job. Yeah. Yeah. People think that I have this, I've done that, I've been here, I'm gonna get this job. Nah, you're not going to get that job. I think that goes back to connection. That goes back to likability. That goes back to your aptitude, your hunger to want to learn, give more. So those are all definitely myths about, getting the job.
Yes. 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 And
What do you think?
that's real talk, because oftentimes, we go to school and we graduate and we think, we're going to graduate and go right into our major. And it doesn't always happen that way. So you
No.
have to be, open to starting somewhere. Like, it took forever for me to land an HR job. Like you said, even the experience I had, the production experience, but I didn't have any HR experience. I had the education, but I didn't have the experience. So you are absolutely correct when that is definitely a myth that I wish like in college they would teach us that, because I was like about to give up, but I didn't. Stayed the course, and I kept my head up and was like, one day somebody's going to give me a chance.
Right. So in looking back over your career, were you happy? Was it, no, not were you happy? Was it what you thought it would be when you got there?
That's an interesting question, because it wasn't always. There were some things that I had to learn the hard way, because people are people.
Yes.
And you have to learn to adjust to people's attitudes. We come from different backgrounds, and I'm learning now. Before I used to, I don't do that anymore. So I just learned to just be quiet and listen, because most of the time that's what people want you to do, is listen to their opinions, their ideas. And that's a skill. That's not always easy to do.
Yeah. I think that any professional, and sometimes when we have these deep dive conversations, and whether they're an engineer, an HR person, a VP of whatever, it's always, I find myself asking them, is it what you thought it would be? You know, did your career turn out the way that you planned it? Is this role what you thought it would be when you interviewed for it? And I think reflection is huge when you get to a certain point in your career. I have two sons. I'm not going to tell you how old they are, but one is old enough to have graduated and working a full-time job. But now that he has gotten his degree and he's working for an amazing employer, I said, "Hey, is it what you thought it would be?" And he said, "I don't think so." And I said, "What part?" He said, "It's just going to work every single day." And I said, "Oh, honey, get used to that part. That's the new life. That's the new life now." So
Yeah. You making me reflect on that, because is it what I thought it would be? Somewhat, because of the experience of always working in manufacturing, working with people. But then when I went over to the HR side, it was like, nah, you're not going to be able to tell me just any old thing, because I was on the other side with you when you was out there doing that knucklehead stuff. So now that I'm in HR,
Right.
So I feel like I kind of bridged the gap. But
yeah, absolutely.
So some days I think you just have to be open. Some days, yes, and some days, no.
Yes, I totally, absolutely.
Yes. What are the warning signs that someone is staying in a role out of fear instead of fit?
My husband said, "You know what?" He said, "If you ever get stuck on questions that people want to ask you," he said, "just tell them a story." And I said, "Listen, I'm a good storyteller." And I have okay, so my boys, very different, right? There's 3 years between them. One is extremely analytical, and the other one is the hype man, right? You need it, let's go. I got you, whatever it is. He's the person that will jump and think as he's landing. The other one is calculating the air pressure before he even considers to jump. So when my son, I think he was about 7, he you go through this stage when you're a child of your teeth, shedding teeth, right?
Mm.
And he came to dinner one night, and this is about the time where they lose their front teeth, and one of his front teeth we knew was loose, right? Had been wiggling it. And he comes to dinner one night, and that tooth is literally hanging out of his mouth. His mouth, it has like, it looks like a fang, just that front tooth hanging over his lip. And we said, hey, you need to take care of that. Let us just go ahead. And he says no. He takes his tongue and he's like, I don't want you to mess with my tongue, leave my tooth alone. This is my tooth. And his brother's like, give it to me. And he takes his hand, like literally, and he yanks the tooth right out his mouth. The tooth was barely holding on, right? That there was no blood. It was just there for show. So when you ask me, what are the warning signs, right? I think about that story.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about that story because we have a lot of people that are hanging on and holding on to something that looks good from the outside, but it serves no purpose. Like that tooth just sitting there dangling. He couldn't bite with it, couldn't hardly smile with it without it looking all awkward, couldn't chew with it. Like it was just there. So when we think about fit, when we think about fear rather than fit, I think about, what Statler says, come on now.
Now,
Right. When I think about fear and fit, he was so afraid, right, to go ahead and just pull this tooth versus, what was already waiting behind that tooth, which was a new tooth, right? The adult tooth. And I think that's how people begin, or they feel about their careers, right? They drag themselves to places that they don't want to be. They get up in the morning and they talk themselves through whatever train ride, whatever car ride they go, and they be mentally abused or overlooked or spoken to in a very condescending tone. And all these things are there, but they don't want to cut it loose for the next thing that's waiting from behind. So those warning signs are you literally dragging yourself to someone's table looking like something does not belong? Are you literally sitting in a meeting thinking about all the other things that you should be doing or all the other places that you should be? Like eventually you get to the point where you wake up in the morning and you're convincing yourself why you have to go to work, why you're still a good person, why it's too much.
yeah,
Those are warning signs. When it doesn't feel good,
yeah,
it's not right anymore.
absolutely. And that's the one thing, fear will cripple you into getting up every day,
Fear
going
paralysis.
in with that beat down mentality, with the old school mentality, with someone that does not have you in their best interest. So you have to really know for yourself your value and your worth.
Absolutely. Or even outside of knowing your value and knowing your worth, but understanding when it's costing you more than that.
Ooh,
Yeah, we can keep going. We can keep going.
yes, we could. Amen. Yikes.
Yeah, if my
What
kid is,
does
if my kid is listening to this, he's gonna be like, "Why did you tell them my tooth story?"
that was good though. That was good. How does diversity and inclusion move from a buzzword to real workplace impact?
When it costs you something, that's how it moves from him. That's how it moves to impact. When it costs you something. You grew up in the Midwest, right?
Yes.
So did you ever have cousins or family members that lived down south or up north? And there was always a time where you guys got together and you were like, "Oh, I love your hair," or "Oh, I love, where did you get that outfit from?" I think people can move along life and be completely fine, right?
Mhm.
As long as they know that no one else is doing anything. No, no, no. People are perfectly fine moving through life as long as they have like clear vision,
Yes.
whether narrow or not, and as long as they don't have these outside influencers of you guys are doing it that way. I didn't know I could do it that way. It's kind of like when you see that cousin for the first time, or he or she has this new outfit or this new style, and they're like, you didn't know about this? And you're like, no, send that to me. I want that. I want to be a part of that. That's what diversity is. Diversity is not just black and white. Diversity is the way that you think, the way that you eat. Like, you know, bad example here, but I love going to other people's homes that I trust and eating, because I'm like, I didn't know I could do that with this recipe,
Mhm.
right? And then I come back home and I try that myself. When it begins to cost you something, meaning you're falling behind, you're not getting ahead, you just seem to be doing the same thing over and over again, that's when you realize that it is now costing you something, because you're so afraid or you're so naive that you can't bring other professionals in to show you, hey, I used to do it like this with my old company, or you know what, here's another way that we've done this, we've always done it this way and we've gotten these type of results. When it costs you something, whether time and opportunity, that's when it moves from buzzword to an actionable item.
Yes.
I feel like I was all over with that answer, but the moment it costs you something is the moment that you realize that you should be thinking more broadly,
Yeah.
more, how can I introduce, how can I invite others to show me how this is done differently? And differently doesn't always mean better, but it's done differently.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's interesting as you were talking, I was thinking in my earlier years of my career, there was a lot that I tolerated, right? My tolerance level was a little bit different than it is now. Like if you're costing me my peace, if you're costing me my health, I'm looking at things a little bit different.
Yeah.
Whereas when I was younger, let's go. Like I
Yeah.
would like, it's as the years go on, like you said, those things when it starts costing you, you start looking at things totally different.
Yeah, I mean, people every few years there's a buzzword that floats around, whether it's connection, whether it's abundance, whatever the word is, if you don't learn to embrace it,
Yes.
if you don't learn how to lean into it, then it's starting to cost you, if anything, it's starting to cost you your existence
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah. And you have to learn what's for you and what's not for you and shut the noise out. Like you're not okay. If that's the way you operate, okay.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. All right. If someone listening tonight feels stuck, burnt out, or unsure of the next, what advice could you offer?
Stop. Stop. Like absolutely stop for a minute. That, kind of imagery I painted where I'm saying you're getting up every single morning and you're dragging yourself somewhere that you don't want to be, and you're talking yourself into, like, if you feel stuck or you feel burnout or you just don't know what's next, stop for a minute.
Yeah.
Just stop, breathe through that stuck or that sick feeling, and think about this. Think about, where do you want to be? How do you get there? How can you hit reset and start again? How can you course correct? How can you pivot? Um, and understand there's nothing wrong with you. You are 100% human, and we all get tired,
Yes.
but we don't know when to stop, right? Some people think that, oh, if I stop, it's a sign of weakness. No, baby, if you stop, it's a sign of strength, right? Did no one say quit? I just said stop. Stop is in pause for a second.
Yes.
So I would definitely say stop for a moment and let's just reevaluate, right? You get no trophy for pushing through. Just give yourself a moment. That's what I think.
Yes.
And all these answers were, just things that I think off the top of my mind, off the top of like, so there's more than one way to do things. You interview another professional, I'm sure they will say, answer these same questions very differently. That these are my piece this evening.
Yes. And that's important. You said stop and just breathe. And
Just
that's so,
breathe. Yes,
yes, just breathe, not making those hasty, emotional decisions in the
absolutely.
moment.
Absolutely.
So thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that. Yes.
You're
Well,
welcome.
this has been a pleasure tonight. I am so glad we had this conversation on positions to purpose, building careers that fit in today's talent pool. Hopefully, tonight we've shared something that has penetrated someone in their career path, if something they're thinking about, because you really have said some things to me that I truly need to think about. So I appreciate everything that you shared tonight.
Just breathe.
Just breathe. That's right. And I have to tell myself that often. Like when I start feeling in my emotions, or I'm not having a good day, or just stuff, I have to remind myself to just breathe.
Yeah, we get so busy,
Yes.
right? I mean, between the 100 emails that come in, the voicemails that come in, the people who just randomly pop in and sit and just want to start talking, between all the meetings that you have to do and still do the work, we get to the point where we get on autopilot, right? And we are just moving from one task. She said, I was there today. You go from one task to the next task to the next task to the next task, and you really don't have an opportunity to process what it is that you did, you're doing, you're going. And by the time you do that a couple of times, I mean, you're tired, right? You're tired up here. You're very tired emotionally. You feel drained. You feel like there's nothing else left that you can give. And I think, and I tell my husband this, when we go on vacation, he likes to do all this adventure stuff. And I'm like, just leave me here. Let me read a book. Let me just people watch for a second. Because when you give so much, or when you're on that autopilot for so long, it takes you a certain amount of time to kind of unwind and give yourself that kind of permission to say, I'm gonna just stop for a second. Let me just think about, why do I feel like I'm spread so thin,
Yeah.
right? And it gives you time to come back and regroup. Um, so yes, just breathe. Give
Yes.
yourself permission.
Yes. Well, at this time, anything that you would like to share, if someone would like to reach out to you, any websites, any upcoming events that you have, anything that you would like to share with our audience tonight, please do so at this time.
Well, if you want to follow me, you are more than welcome to find me on LinkedIn. My name is Tasha Burks, Burks with no E, Burks. And I'm actually working on a project. I'm not 100% ready to disclose it, but as soon as I am disclosing it, I will tell you, and you can tell your audience, or find me on LinkedIn. I'll probably speak about it there.
Yes. Well, thank you so much again for your time tonight. Thank you for sharing. I do appreciate you. I'm so glad that we were placed in each other's path, as that you found me on LinkedIn. So,
Mhm.
so I am grateful for this time. I'm grateful for everything that you shared tonight. If anyone inspires to be my very special guest on the Just Breathe podcast, please reach out to me at whatisyourdetour@gmail.com. I would love to have you. Remember, weeping may endure for a night, but joy will come in the morning. And remember to just breathe.
Thanks, Rosalind.
You're welcome. Good night, everyone.
Good night.